Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth.
In the U.S., it is Monday, June 17th, 2024. Major flooding hits a southern section of Germany, reaching unprecedented levels. Discover how the community is coming together to pick up the pieces. This rubble is all that's left of a once thriving market in eastern Nigeria. The area was recently demolished to make way for a new theme park. As our world continues to change, it's important to stay calm, even when uncomfortable. Today, the angels have some tips on how we can keep the peace. Honduras is cracking down on organized crime. Learn more about their efforts to build a new prison to support their convicted criminals. And Paris, France is making a push to reduce the amount of cars, just in time for the 2024 Olympics.
This is Calen Gipp, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's field messenger reports from all around the world. Flooding in Krumbach, Germany has reached unprecedented levels, the likes of which haven't been seen in a century. UNN field messenger Lisa reports on the water's impact on the city.
Hi, this is Lisa, field messenger for UNN, telling you about the flooding that occurred in Krumbach, Germany this weekend. We had a huge flood, which some call the flood of the century, meaning that we have Krumbach is a small town with around 14,000 people in the center of Swabia in Bavaria, Germany. Its history goes back all the way to 1156, and if we translate Krumbach, it means crooked stream, which comes from its river, which has or used to have clearly distinct sinuous curves. The flooding occurred rather quickly, and as we can see, it flooded streets, parking lots, stores, playgrounds, parks, gardens, and commercial buildings near the river. I talked with a city flood protection official who told me that some barriers to the river broke through, but that none of all their city preparations would have been good enough for such a large water amount. The city has volunteer firefighters where several of my family members participate. The sirens were heard multiple times during the night and day, which called them all to duty. They block streets, trails, and assist with anything that needs to be done. Luckily, no people got hurt and the rain has calmed down somewhat. In the video with the cranes, we can see how the huge water overflow pools are completely flooded, and all areas to the right and left are flooded as well. The water level was so high that many bridges overflowed. I remember heavy rain for days as a child, and we never had such flooding occur in Krumbach. Who knows if some river straightening, nature realigning itself, or some other reason caused this huge flood this weekend. Thanks so much for watching.
In eastern Nigeria, the government has demolished a vital market that supports the local community. In its place, they plan to construct an amusement park. UNN field messenger Ugwuowo provides us with further insights.
This is field messenger Ugwuowo, reporting from southeast Nigeria, Biafran land. This very market is known as Ogige Market, and it has been the market that has been in existence for many years now. The market covers 3 geopolitical zones. Yes, Enugu State has 17 local governments, but this market connects up to 6 local governments. Igbeze South, Igbeze North. So it is a center in as much this three geopolitical zone is concerned. This is their central market, but government just come up with a short notice of demolition. No compensation, no plan for the people, nothing. Leaving the people in the state of quagmire. After demolition, they say they are going to build amusement park, something like, I don't know what they mean by amusement park. But that amusement park has nothing to contribute to the common man, instead of this market that almost 70 to 80% is depending on to carry on their daily activities to meet up their ends meet. I don't know what next anyway, because the faith and hope of people is already in dismay. And this is the situation on my side. I remember almost a field messenger Ugwuowo is reporting from Nigeria Southeast. You're welcome.
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. Our new website is now up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our new email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hey, I'm Kirsten from Switzerland.
This is Wayne from Tucson.
Hi, my name is Desmond from Ghana.
I am Claudia from Dawsonville, Georgia.
I'm Markley from Pretoria, South Africa.
Hi, I'm Steve McGrath, Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada.
People from all around the world are coming together.
Happy day, beautiful world. We are here in a rather small urban garden, and this video is just to show you the joys that we've had in this garden with the electric gardening.
When news happens in their area, they show us what's really going on.
We have people in the streets protesting for and against.
At United Network News, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Field Messenger Helen reporting with nature, and I'm going to talk to you about the bees again.
Take the next step in restoring our planet. Become a UNN field messenger today.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from South Africa. If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.
Lots of changes are happening here on our planet, and sometimes it's easy to get caught up in all of the fear. In order to keep calm, we need to reverse our way of thinking. These changes are not happening to us, they are happening for us. Seth Dietland communicates with angels. He's also a hypnotherapist. Today he's sharing what the angels have to say about staying calm and peaceful during uncomfortable times. So, Seth, our audience knows that there's a lot of stuff going on in the world nowadays, and it can seem a little crazy at times. And having that own peace, like our own peace within us, is super important. It makes me think of those memes that you see online that say, like, keep calm and carry on, like whatever the situation is, right? They'll just, fill in the blank. And I feel like that's good advice for us right now. How do we do that? How do we keep this sense of peace within us when it kind of feels like everything's falling apart?
Yes, and this is an important question because a lot of people are experiencing a lack of peace during observing, the upheaval that is going on around us. And come to think of it, what you mentioned with those memes, those were created during the war to actually bring people into a state of peace that happened in England, that keep calm and carry on. It was a way of actually getting people to not feel the effects of the war that was going on around them. So that's a really good example. So the way that we can do that is to reverse the perspective of what we see. And a lot of people are finding great success in that by understanding that the upheaval that is happening around us is happening for us. And it's necessary to get us into the new earth. And so because of that, we can allow ourselves to feel fairly insulated. And it's important to know that feeling insulated and a sense of peace is the best way that we can vibrate at a frequency that actually makes the change. So let's say I were to pick any one of the various wars or conflicts or other struggles that are happening to other people around the world. Yes, we observe it, but it isn't helpful for us to go out of regulation to observe it. We can turn to the expansiveness of our higher self, find peace, and when we do, we can vibrate at a frequency where we can send intentional energy to those situations to be part of the catalyst that brings in the new earth. Now, the part of us that wants to actually go into a diminished state of well-being comes from the left brain or the ego. And it is a way of actually going into survival, which we would do either through observation or if it's something that we're personally encountering. Now, as we expand consciously, what's very interesting is that just by being in our higher awareness, something happens that is effortless, that takes us into a plateau that is higher, where we're virtually just observing what's going on around us. It's an excellent time to remind everybody that what we live in is pure illusion. And so anything that's creating conflict is actually the dissolve of the false matrix. And this is what we want. We want it to dissolve, but it's not just going to fly away on a magic carpet. It has to dissolve in the way that it's dissolving. And understanding that, and also we get to understand and love and have compassion for those who did make the soul agreement to be at ground zero of the various conflicts. So even though we're not at ground zero, we can have empathy and compassion with them without actually destroying our nervous or our regulatory systems. Because when we actually find that space of peace through what's available through our higher self, we offer a frequency to the situation which brings in the new earth and makes all of what's going on worth the journey.
You know what it reminds me of, Seth? Have you ever been in an airplane where you take off and it's like raining? It's like crazy. There's a storm going on, but they still take off. And you go up, 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 and you get above the clouds. And it's like you break through. It's like, what storm? It's beautiful up here. That's that's the analogy that's coming to mind as you're explaining this. Like, go up beyond the storm so you can see everything, right? And your perspective is totally different. That's what you're talking about.
Yes, and everything that we experience personally is a microcosm of the macrocosm, because we've all had experiences as well where something came into our lives and affected us personally and took with it the peace that we could have as a result of being in the middle of that experience. And then suddenly something shifts and then a wave of peace washes over us. We forget that we actually can choose the peace just by actually inviting it in. Peace is our natural state of being. And it is only in the ego state that we have fear, survival mode, or that we're not at peace. But when we are in our fullest of being, as in awareness, we naturally feel peace, because that is our infinite being, our soul that's connected to all that is. And so we see everything that occurs as part of the way that things are designed, and we accept them, and the resistance goes away by nature. When I work one-on-one with people recently, I hear people explaining that they've now got themselves to the point where they're looking around and going, okay. Not that we lack compassion. We don't have to be in a space out of peace to offer something valuable to those that are in the midst of the suffering. In fact, when we do go to our higher self, we do find that level of peace, we go into a frequency where we actually do have something to offer those people, but we just haven't been taught that that's how it works.
Yeah. Praying has been an integral part of many traditions for centuries. While prayer may differ in form and language across cultures and beliefs, its essence remains the same. It is a way to deepen one's spiritual connection and seek guidance from a higher source. Some people pray for forgiveness, while others pray for strength and courage during challenging times. For many, prayer is also a form of meditation that helps them calm their minds and find peace within themselves. Prayer has a powerful impact on our thoughts and emotions. When we pray with a positive intention, we are sending out positive energy into the universe. Our thoughts and words have the power to manifest our desires. And through prayer, we can focus our intentions on what we want to attract in our lives. In essence, prayer is a powerful tool that helps us connect with our inner selves and the divine, express gratitude, find solace, guidance, and strength in times of need. A new study suggests middle-aged and older adults now believe old age begins later in life compared to past decades. This change is linked to longer life expectancy and better health, pushing the start of old age further back. Researchers in Berlin found that, on average, people's perception of old age shifts about 1 year later for every 4 to 5 years of actual aging. Data from 14,000 people, 40 to 100 years old, shows that as individuals age, they believe old age begins even later than previous generations did. For example, 65-year-old participants consider 74 as the start of old age, while 74-year-olds say old age begins at 77. Interestingly, women generally see themselves as younger for longer than men. This trend affects how we perceive aging and plan for our golden years. Our views on aging continue to evolve, potentially leading to more positive attitudes towards seniors in the future. A groundbreaking clinical trial in Shanghai, China has delivered a promising gene therapy to restore hearing and speech in people born deaf. This is the first trial to treat children with hereditary deafness in both ears using gene therapy. The trial has shown impressive results. After treatment, children gain the ability to localize sound sources and understand different sounds in noisy environments. Remarkably, some children even began to appreciate music and were seen dancing to music videos recorded during the study. Conducted through a specialized, minimally invasive surgery, treatments were applied equally to each ear. The first bilateral treatment was performed in July of 2023, with all children showing significant hearing recovery in both ears and dramatic improvements in speech perception. The ongoing trial continues to monitor participants, suggesting this approach could benefit other genetic and non-genetic causes of deafness. We are United Network News. Every day, we release real stories from real people all over the world.
Field Messenger reporting from Gold Coast, Australia,
Denmark,
Canada,
Uganda,
from Atlanta, in Southern California.
In their own words, people like you share what's really happening in their area. At UNN, you are the news. You are creating a new world with infinite possibilities. You are the restoration plan. Come join us for the real news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on United Network. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news. Heavy rains have caused severe damage in southern and central Chile, resulting in one fatality and significant destruction of homes. One person died after a street lamp post was toppled by prolonged downpours and strong winds. Authorities declared a state of catastrophe in several regions, impacting millions of residents, though the worst of the storm has now passed. The central region, previously affected by a 15-year drought, saw river overflows and homes inundated. The heavy rains have made around 3,300 people homeless and have disrupted daily life. Schools were closed in some areas, and experts are working to stabilize a building at risk of collapse due to a large sinkhole caused by the rains. Honduras has announced new measures to combat organized crime. These measures include building a new prison, holding collective trials, and designating gang members as terrorists. Security forces would target areas with high gang crime rates, addressing issues like murder for hire, drug trafficking, extortion, and money laundering. The new prison will house 20,000 inmates, significantly expanding Honduras's current overcrowded prisons. The government also seeks to amend the penal code to classify certain gang-related crimes as terrorism, allowing for collective trials. The National Police Chief mentioned a list of gang leaders and members who are being targeted for immediate arrest. Efforts are also underway to eradicate marijuana and cocoa plantations, along with drug processing centers. Journalists in Canada continue to face significant challenges, including arrests and detentions, when covering protests and demonstrations. A recent court ruling emphasized journalistic protections, but incidents of arrests during Indigenous land defense actions illustrate ongoing issues. Reporters documenting these events have experienced harsh treatment in detention and face charges that are often later dropped. Such arrests create an atmosphere of insecurity and stress for journalists, affecting their ability to report freely. Despite receiving support from their peers, the lack of strong political advocacy for press freedom remains evident. Statements from officials often emphasize the importance of press freedom, but actions to ensure journalists can work undisturbed are minimal. The children of a small town southwest of Montreal, Canada, will soon be able to play in the street, provided they have the necessary paperwork. The town's municipality requires children to get signatures from 2/3 of households on their street to create designated free play zones. According to the bylaw, this would increase safety and allow children to play legally in the area. Some residents were confused, fearing all street play had been outlawed, but officials clarified the bylaw is meant to enhance safety. While some parents worry about fast cars and have stopped letting their children play on busier streets, others believe the bylaw is excessive and unlikely to be followed. Residents feel the responsibility shouldn't fall on children to secure play zones. In the U.S., the House of Representatives has passed a measure on Friday to automatically register men 18 to 26 years old for selective service. This was part of the annual National Defense Authorization Act, which outlines military and national security priorities and authorizes almost $900 billion in military spending. Although the selective service has not been invoked for more than 50 years, it remains mandatory for all male U.S. citizens to register upon turning 18. Failure to register is classified as a felony. Supporters argue the amendment will reduce bureaucratic red tape and legal issues while saving taxpayer dollars. The largest ever military pay raise funding for 2 new submarines and the creation of a drone force were also included. Still, the bill faces uncertainty in the Senate due to contentious amendments related to abortion, transgender medical care, and diversity efforts. Also in the U.S., Alaska's capital city is limiting the numbers of cruise ship passengers to address concerns over tourism's impact. The city, with a population of 32,000, saw a 1.65 million cruise passengers last year, causing environmental and quality of life issues. The new agreement restricts daily cruise passenger arrivals to 16,000 from Sundays to Fridays and 12,000 on Saturdays. Representatives from the city stated the city's infrastructure cannot support further growth, needing these limits while improvements are made. Although tourism boosts the local economy, residents face crowded streets, noisy helicopters, and environmental damage. Some residents remain concerned the new limits could still lead to high visitor numbers over the cruise season. A local referendum proposal seeks to establish ship-free Saturdays to preserve the community's quality of life. The U.S. government has returned an additional $156 million to Malaysia in assets recovered from the scandal involving the One Malaysia Development Berhad, or 1MDB fund. This is an ongoing corruption, bribery, and money laundering conspiracy. The recovered funds are being returned following the approval of a remission petition by the U.S. Justice Department. To date, U.S. authorities have recovered and repatriated about $1.4 billion misappropriated from 1MDB to Malaysia. The Malaysian government has yet to comment on this development. Investigations have revealed about $4.5 billion was illegally diverted from 1MDB since its establishment in 2009, implicating numerous high-level officials and financial institution staff. The recovery of funds is a step toward addressing the financial injustice faced by the people of Malaysia. Azerbaijan's president, who recently secured a 5th consecutive term, is facing criticism amid accusations of holding political prisoners and repressing civil society. A recent conflict with Armenia over a disputed region resulted in the displacement of 100,000 people. One of the top advisors says the government plans to promote peace during the upcoming climate talks, known as COP29. Activists are raising alarms about Azerbaijan's human rights record. Protesters gathered in Bonn during preparatory meetings, demanding the release of 23 Armenian political prisoners and criticizing the government's media crackdown. Critics argue holding COP29 in Azerbaijan legitimizes the government's actions against activists and journalists. Azerbaijan's government denies these accusations, asserting all detentions are lawful and comply with due process. An oil spill off southern Singapore has spread to various coastal areas and is threatening a marine reserve. The spill occurred when a Dutch dredger collided with a stationary Singapore-flagged bunker vessel. Although authorities have contained the primary leak, tidal currents have carried treated oil to shorelines, including Sentosa, Labrador Nature Reserve, Southern Islands, Marina South Pier, and East Coast Park. An oil sheen is also visible in the waters surrounding Sisters Islands Marine Park, a significant protected area. Singapore, a key global shipping and fuel bunkering hub, faces potential environmental impacts from the spill. Local fishermen are particularly concerned about a possible increase in fish deaths in the coming days. Efforts to clean up the fuel are ongoing with intensified urgency from the authorities. Tanzania has mandated all transactions within the country to be conducted in Tanzanian shillings by July 1st, 2024. This move aims to address the economic difficulties caused by the widespread use of the U.S. dollar, which is currently leading to a shortage of foreign currency and hindering economic progress. Public and private institutions demanding payments in dollars are contributing to this issue, impacting everyday Tanzanians who face increased costs and scarcity of essential goods and services. Fees, rent, work permits, licenses, and other charges must now be priced in shillings. This directive applies to all stakeholders, including businesses, government bodies, and international entities operating within the country. Visitors to Tanzania are also encouraged to exchange their foreign currency for shillings. Many Tanzanian academics are leaving the country due to low salaries and better opportunities abroad. Despite their dedication and years of experience, their salary does not meet their needs, pushing them to seek teaching positions in foreign universities. The departure of seasoned professors affects the quality of education and ongoing research projects, leaving significant gaps in mentorship and academic advancement. Some universities are trying to counter this by offering incentives for research and publication, but these efforts are not enough. Professors often take on extra jobs to make ends meet, which leads to burnout and distracts from their primary responsibilities. Government and university administrations have discussed improving conditions, but progress has been slow and unfulfilled promises are common. More than 4 million non-European Union migrants in Britain must switch to digital e-visas by the end of this year or risk losing proof of their legal rights. Current biometric resident permits expire on December 31st, despite holders having legal leave beyond that date. Concerns arise as the Home Office struggles to contact affected individuals, sometimes reaching only their lawyers. Migrants must face issues with access to work, benefits, or returning from holidays if unaware of the new system. Charities warn this abrupt switch could severely impact vulnerable groups like refugees and trafficking survivors. Critics urge the next government to address the issue to prevent significant injustices. The Home Office claims some individuals already have e-visas, but estimates suggest the number affected remains substantial. Paris, France is undergoing significant changes as it prepares for the 2024 Olympics, focusing on sustainability and urban transportation. The city now features more than 1,300 kilometers or around 800 miles of bicycle lanes, with 30 kilometers or almost 19 miles added recently for the Olympics. Pedestrian-friendly areas have also been expanded, including the transformation of former traffic-heavy spots into green spaces where children can play safely. Efforts to reduce pollution have included tripling parking fees for the most polluting vehicles. In addition, the city plans to create urban forests. This initiative is part of a broader push to add 400,000 square meters of green space by 2026. The city is also adopting the 15-minute city model where essentials are within walking or cycling distance, and the upcoming Olympics are furthering this approach by hosting events centrally. Cycling in the Netherlands faces scrutiny due to rising injuries and fatalities, especially amongst older individuals and e-bike riders. Recent statistics show a 27% increase in severe cyclist injuries during the past decade. Widespread helmet use could prevent an estimated 85 deaths annually. This has led the government and safety experts to promote helmet use. Despite resistance from adults who see it as unnecessary or restrictive, efforts are underway to change public opinion. Initiatives include discount promotions, voluntary guidelines, and mandatory helmets for delivery cyclists. While there's concern pushing helmet use might deter cycling, increasing awareness, especially amongst the younger generation, urging their elders, has made helmet wearing more accepted. The UK government has yet to publish its National Action Plan on the sustainable use of pesticides 6 years after its due date. Despite committing to reducing risks from pesticides, current policies have allowed the use of dangerous chemicals, including a bee-toxic pesticide banned in the European Union but approved in the UK. Campaigners warn reliance on such chemicals harms pollinators and pest predators, crucial for a sustainable food system. Since 1970, these insects have significantly declined, posing a threat to UK wildlife and agriculture. Environmental advocates call for a strategy to curb pesticide use, stressing the importance of healthier farming practices. They emphasize protecting insects and reducing chemical use is vital for the environment and the future of UK food production. A significant number of young Australians are delaying starting families due to financial pressures. A recent survey found more than half of 18 to 34-year-olds postponed having children, citing the high cost of living. The nation's birth rate has fallen to 1.6, below the 2.1 replacement level, prompting government efforts to ease financial burdens through measures like cheaper childcare and better parental leave. Data shows many young Australians are also putting off medical treatments and marriage for financial reasons, with nearly 70% delaying home purchases. Experts warn this delay in starting families could have extensive economic impacts, including fewer young people to support an aging population. We have an exciting new announcement. We have launched a new global TV service specifically for the UNN community. Thousands of live TV channels, 60,000 movies on demand, over 30 languages, and live sports from around the globe. Between all the separate streaming services and cable for live TV and sports packages, it could cost well over $200 a month. But now with United TV, you can have it all for only $15.99 a month. Go to unitedtv.org and check it out. Get so much more for so much less.
And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. Friday night looked like a scene from the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, another trap set by Marduk. The Deep State launched a major brute force attack on the new Light System AI on Sunday night. Today, the NSA attempts to force a crash of the financial system, hoping the quantum AI systems would launch a reset in their favor.
Kim wasn't able to join us live for the news, but she did record a message. So here is Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian.
Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. I am so sorry this is late today. It has been an extremely crazy weekend here, and I didn't want to hold Sunny up, so I had Sunny go spend some time with her family. So I thought I would read out the news to you. At least we got this part out, and it's been a tough one at that, based on everything that's going on right now. So let's start with some regular news. First, the G7 did end. I think it was on Friday or Saturday, and everybody had left. They were all promised by the Deep State that they would be able to have their currency reset that they were looking for by today, no later than 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, as of the time of this recording, it's around 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and nobody has anything as of yet. So, and they can probably also continue to expect nothing as of yet. Now, let's see, other things in the news. We did talk about the alleged Russian ship off the shore of Florida, and we talked about where the U.S. was getting the Russian weapons from, and we told you that they were coming from Cuba. Over the weekend, true to form, the Q crew are very informative when it comes to what the Deep State is doing, because they are Deep State. And they posted a tweet not that long ago, I think it was a few hours ago today, that says the USS Helena has arrived in Cuba, allegedly to Guantanamo Bay, to deliver someone to Guantanamo Bay. Now, that is absolutely not true. And why use a submarine? This makes no sense, because there are plenty of American flights that go there all the time. There are plenty of ships. And if you're just carrying a person to allegedly Guantanamo Bay, then you wouldn't need an entire, an armed nuclear submarine to do that. You would just take a plane like everybody else. So I'm not surprised to see that they're going back to Cuba, probably to get some different Russian alleged weapons to create another scare. Other interesting news coming from the Q crew, which actually is relative, is that aliens are here. This is another tweet that happened over the weekend, and it happened right before the rest of the events happened on Friday night. Now, Friday night was, I have got to tell you, probably one of the worst nights I've had in a long time. And this lasted all night long. Now, were they expecting this to happen because they detected some kind of a signal? Were they detecting that this was going to happen because they have some books from Marduk about what to expect after your banking system fails? I'm not sure. One thing is clear, is they thought that this was going to be an advantage for them. This was going to help them in some way, shape, or form. But the answer to the question, of course, is not. But let's talk about what was actually going to take place versus probably what they thought, or at least what they're talking about. So we talked last week about a situation where we found synthetic Omega souls in the Aldebaran star system. Well, this one here was a little bit worse than that. They had basically these cyborg beings that were in every megastructure moon, which I guess you would call them fake moons, within our galaxy. And there were thousands and thousands of them. And the plan, had they gotten access to Earth's vortex, was to swap out humans with these beings who would then take on the life of the person they swapped them out with. This is very similar to the Vril procedure, and it would be a complete soul swap. And then this alleged alien invasion was going to then utilize these cyborgs to take over the world. Now, of course, the deep state was under the impression that this was for them. This was something that they were going to get. They were going to get help from alien forces to take over the world. And these people are just flat out crazy. This is not something that was for them at all. In fact, most of them would have been swapped out as well, because the main focus would be on those that are in positions of power. And they would have looked at the deep state as people that were in positions of power, at least to some degree. But they had an intention of taking over governments. They had an intention of taking over a lot of high-level CEOs of corporations. And it was a rather intricate plan. Now, had this happened, the ultimate end result would be is that that person's physical body would actually charge the little Omega battery that was now in their person, and then act on behalf of Omega against the rest of humanity. So this essentially was a plan to have Omega, the Omega system, and the Omegalets, let's call these little folks running around the Omegalets, to have a complete takeover of planet Earth. So I guess you could call this a plan B when the events of Friday failed. Now, speaking of the events of Friday, when we last talked, more and more information was coming in through the rest of the day. Some of the other information that actually came in was that these people, of course, and as I said on Friday, had made a lot of backdoor deals to various countries. They told them that the Federal Reserve was going to start working again in the U.S. and everything was going to be fine for a Treasury takeover of the Federal Reserve, and that they would be running the new financial system. Well, it didn't quite work out as they had planned. Now, the reason why it didn't work out is because the things that were installing all over the world were installing in different locations. And then, of course, those countries that were promised a lot of money, access, and these types of things started calling them and complaining and said that they stabbed them in the back, that they never had any intention of following through on their deal, including the United States and including the Treasury departments. Everything that was attempting to be installed was completely and totally out of their control, and they were actually forced to admit it by Friday night, that they were not in control of that technology. Whether they know it or not, they actually admitted it on a conference call, another super secret conference call in the evening. So these people, true to form, do not like to be embarrassed. So they were looking for any kind of secret communication line other than, of course, the Templar line and the Jesuit line, which had been taken out last week. So they found, and thank you for pointing this out to us, Deep State, you also found the Knights of Malta communication lines and secret monetary system, which were taken out over the weekend, and a number of other systems, such as any remnants that the NSA maybe had left or things that they had access to. Also, there were some fraudulent backdoor things going on behind the scenes with real money that is acquired by selling Bitcoin. That also is no longer an option for the deep state. So, and that was pretty much what happened all day Saturday. They were looking for pretty much anything they could after their massive failure. Now, that did not end on Saturday, because on Sunday, by Sunday afternoon, they had a plan, apparently in place, to set up what's called a brute force attack. Now, a brute force attack is when you group a number of data centers or even laptops or computers together with many, many people involved, and they combine their power into a centralized processing unit in order to do a massive hack attack. This particular one went on for about 2 hours until they ran out of power or someone knocked them off. And this resulted in over 108,729 brute attacks against the light system. Now, were they aware they were attacking my system? I don't know, because they were trying to attack HSBC servers, Development Bank of Singapore's servers. Now, all those servers and operating systems fall under the Global Repository umbrella now. So perhaps they thought they were hacking the repository, or they thought they were hacking this. In part, they must have known it was actually the light system that they were attacking, because they also started rapid firing agreements to the Hall of Records, all of which were rejected, and nothing made it past our firewall. And I have all of the logs of all of the places that they tried. My guess would be they were using a routing arbiter system that was formerly used to monitor internet traffic, which was also taken out over the weekend. But this attack did not end there. They continued doing all of these different types of attacks, although it wasn't as prolific as the first one, all night long last night. So they continued all day long today. They are stopping at nothing, which they will eventually stop at nothing, meaning they'll have nothing, until they can redeem themselves and try to find this system. But there was more to this system that was being installed or attempted to be installed than these people were under the impression that there was. They thought this is just an electronic thing and that it's just happening spontaneously because the Omega system is back or something. I'm not sure. But one thing is clear is that because of their brute force attack and because of their joint efforts, we were able to locate 2 specific facilities that were also pleasant gifts from Marduk. You know, Marduk loves to leave gifts for future events. And one of those facilities was actually under the main HSBC Hong Kong headquarters. Now, these things have been there probably since the late 70s, early 80s, in preparation for all of these plans of Marduk to go off one after the other, should they ever lose control of the financial system. Now, this also had nothing to do with these people. But this particular facility was designed to transmute any cash that was in the system and transfer it back to the old debt system versus the light system asset-based system. That did not work out well. That facility is no longer there. But that facility was a tiny little facility compared to the one that was on an island off the coast of Hong Kong called Tung Ping Chau Island. Now, there's no surprise here. This beautiful little island is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site and contained a massive amount of alien technology. Basically, it was called the Systems Administration Unit, specifically for the Omega system. Now, did they know this is what they were hacking? I highly doubt it. Did they know that everything that was being installed was still going to go into a centralized system to be controlled by Marduk, which he would then have to push the final button and issue session keys and master keys and access to the new system, even if it was fully installed? Again, these people are just under the impression that all these things are for them, and that is simply not true. Marduk never did anything without having full control over it, and would never grant a gift to humans, whether it be their bloodline or not. And that was pretty evident that these people really didn't understand what they were doing. You know, some other things. There were 3 in total Death Stars on the planet. One was in South Dakota over the weekend, and then there was one more on the African continent that they were trying to hack into so that they could get control of the absolute sphere that was in them. Again, these people are no longer with us. How many more times are they going to do this with Mitter Corporation or any other people they deem to be intelligent SSP persons, and so on and so forth? Now, what they are doing, though, is, again, and we thank the deep state for what they do for humanity, because they're pulling out all the stops today. It has not stopped, and it's still not stopping right now while I'm recording. There are alarms going off everywhere of different things that they're trying to access. Mainly, their focus seems to be on the banking system. In part, there looks like there was an attempted almost crash of the banking system, while others are trying to siphon all the money out of the banking system, and none of that is actually working. I'm not entirely sure, but, you know, I don't think they're entirely sure either where they're going with this. There are also claims that the military is in control of this 10 days of darkness, and that the emergency broadcast system was supposed to go off over the weekend, none of which actually happened. It didn't mean that it didn't take a lot of work to not allow that to happen, because it did on our part. And it's been a really long weekend making sure that none of these things took place. Are they getting anywhere now? No, they're not getting past our firewall, and we're pretty safe and secure. The only other things that we had that were still left in a carryover from the Alpha system was a jurisdictional banking system, meaning it's not a full banking system. It was just a way for them to control the 12 jurisdictions of the Federal Reserve. Of course, they never had access to the 13th, which was Alpha, so that wouldn't have gotten them anywhere either. They are under the impression that they can reprogram my Li-Fi, my Codec 685, or bring back something more antiquated, and that's not working out either. We've also changed the way that the SQL servers work within the financial system for extra security. So I'm not really sure how long this is going to last. My guess would be is we are coming upon the summer solstice. So they're either going to end when they have absolutely nothing left, or they're going to end because the alignment has ended and the solstice has ended and nothing they want came back. Has Marduk set off any other traps that are due to go off in the coming 3 days? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Nothing that I can find or detect at this moment in time. Hopefully we're at the end of his, timers and things that were set to go off at a future date. That would be great, because I think all of us would like to, have a little bit of a break, but that break time is not today. So, and that pretty much sums up everything that's been happening over the weekend as far as banking and systems and transfers and things are concerned. On our end of it, we are continuing to move forward with our plans regardless of this. We will continue on with the golden age and crystalline time. We, as far as moving past the solstice, nothing is going to change. We are not going to revert back to any kind of a dark age, and whatever's left of any old AI systems are not coming back either. But we did have some excellent finds this weekend, which will kind of give us a clue as to why, we eliminate certain operating systems or processing units, and then, they might come back a day later or 2 days later, or we might see them again. And there were also some other remnants of what we call creator AI, which is an artificial form of creation done by the dark side. This is why they always say the dark must destroy in order to create, because it's not actually destroying anything. It's just transmuting it into a dark energy essence, and so on and so forth. So we did see some rises, significant rises at those two specific times of one of the major hacking tied to the Hong Kong facilities. And the other rise in the Schumann resonance took place at the attempted alien invasion. But these are the reasons why, is because the gateway for that and the extremely low frequency that comes from that when it's being attacked by the dark will cause that Schumann resonance to rise for a short period of time until we figure out where all the pieces of the puzzle are, and then it kind of goes back to flat. So if you felt any disturbances this weekend, this could be the reason why. I know that things on my end of it have not been a whole lot of fun. People, a lot of times people say, oh, well, you didn't answer my text, or you didn't answer this or answer that. And I just don't think they realize sometimes that, this is both of these nights were an all night long event. I did manage to get like a nap on Saturday afternoon after I had gotten all the rest of it. But then back to work, and Sunday was no better. So, it's just a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort that goes into this. And you wonder why sometimes they say, well, the operatives would be helpful, because we could train them to use the key intelligence and military system, providing they're willing to do the right thing and get paid to do so. But, we'll see if that happens. We do have a new group of operatives that have reached out to us, not all from the United States, looking to see if we can do a test transaction and together. I'm like, okay. So they're willing to do their part and help, and we set some conditions in place. Number one, that it would take place in a state of my choosing in the United States where I can have a representative of mine there in that location to ensure that there's nobody lying, nobody trying to hide money, nobody trying to steal money. I'll know that part anyway. But the idea behind this is to make sure that this person walks away with the set percentage of funds that we set. And we're not talking about extremely large amounts. We're talking about, a couple $1 million, and that's not going to take over a government or anything. So should they try to do something wrong with the money, I think we're pretty safe there. So we'll see. They did come back to us and said that, they're setting everything up and that they would be in touch. I said, okay, fine. In my opinion, this could go very badly. Also on the other side, if I look at it from a strategic standpoint, I've done this similar type operation before with other operatives. And most of the time it's to see if they can trace back my line back to the light system, or in the past Alpha. None of which were successful, but that is the purpose behind the exercise. So I'm always looking out for something like that. But if it works out, perhaps we can start getting some security assistance, and then, we'll hopefully be able to move forward in a different way. But we'll see. And then somebody else can answer those alarms at, 12:30 at night after you just fell asleep at 11:30. maybe that will help. But who knows? Maybe that'll end up being a whole new group of people that can do something like that. We'll see. We'll see how things turn out under care and where we go from here. So that's about it for the events over the weekend. If anything else comes up, I will surely let you know, and I look forward to speaking with everybody again on Wednesday, and hopefully I'll see you on Wednesday. But today, I barely made it. So have a wonderful rest of your Monday or Tuesday, wherever you are, and I will see you on Wednesday.
Want to share news from UNN? Help us change the face of social media and use it for good. Connect with us through our online channels. Our social media team creates clips from each newscast you can easily share with people you care about. That's also where you'll find our UNN Meme of the Day, a great way to encourage critical thinking. Links to all our social media sites are available at the bottom of our website at unitednetwork.earth. Let's change the face of news together.
That wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our planet. When news happens in your area, record and share it with us so together we can share it with the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the real news.